Hi, this session we'll just do some practice test questions. I first want you to start off by doing the following 10 questions. So the first one, 0.2 times 4.15. And hopefully you can do them all because they are basically test questions. So do them first. Okay, with the first one, you can actually try and do this mentally because they're not large numbers. Now we know we're multiplying decimals, we first ignore the decimal. So we would really have, here, this would be 415 with no decimal, and this would be number 2 with no decimal. And what is 2 times 415? We just have to double it to get 830. But to show working out, we would have 415 times 2, and let's do our working out. 2 times 5 is 10, put the 0 down, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3, and then 2 times 4 is 8. There's our 830. Now we know we haven't finished just yet. Because there are decimal places, we'll go back and count how many numbers there are after the decimal. So we've got 1, 2, and 3. So right now, in my answer, I've got 830. My decimal is invisible and it's sitting there. I now have to bring it back 3 decimal places, 1, 2, and 3, and that is my answer. So this is equal to 0.83, or 0.83, okay? You can have the 0 there if you want to, it's still correct, but it doesn't need to be there. And that's it. Okay, so sometimes you can do these mentally, but it's important to know your steps when multiplying with decimals. If you're still not sure, there's a lesson on this as well. All right, next 2 questions involve BIDMAS, and there's also negatives that I can see with the first one. So with the first one, I can see 2 negatives sitting together and they become positive. That's my first step. So I now have -2 plus 5 plus 6. Now, we don't go 5 plus 6 is 11 and so on. We always work from left to right. And so I'll put brackets around what I'm doing next. Left to right means -2 plus 5 comes next. Because one's a negative, one's a positive, 5 take away 2 normally is just 3. And because 5 is a larger number and it's positive, well, we're at positive 3. And we've got 3 plus 6, and 3 plus 6 is 9. So you should have had 9 for that one. Number 3, this one looks a bit more complicated, but it's just as easy. Now, when you have 2 sets of brackets, you always work from inside and then out. So in these big brackets here, these big ones here, we've got smaller ones in there. So let's work out what's in here first. Now have a look inside and see the operations. We have addition and we have multiplication. With BIDMAS, we know multiplication must come first. So I must go 2 times 2 first. 2 times 2 is just 4, okay? So then I have now, here I've got 3 plus 4. So in this bracket here, 3 plus 4 gives me 7. So I would have had 7. Now, I'm going to stop there and just rewrite what I have because this is how it's easy to make a mistake. I still have these big brackets there, but in these big brackets, the smaller brackets are gone, and I'm left with 7 plus 1, plus the square root of 4. So I still have brackets, and they come first. So what is 7 plus 1? That's quite easy. It is 8. And so I'm left with now, and I also do this, the square root of 4 would come next because we know there's an invisible power too, and BIDMAS, we've got brackets and then index numbers. And we know this is saying a number times itself twice to give us 4. Well, I know that 2 times 2 is 4, so this will equal 2. So now I'm left with 2, bring the plus down, plus there's an 8, plus the 2. And nice and easy, 2 plus 8 is 10, and then 10 plus 2, I'll squeeze it here, is 12. So you should have had 12 for that one there. Okay, with number 4, we can see we are multiplying everything and there are a lot of negatives. And we know our first step when multiplying or dividing is to take care of your negatives. Now, first count, how many negatives do we have? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And because 4 is an even number, we know our answer will be positive. How easy is that? And now multiply numbers. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 1 times 1 is 1, and so on. So we've got 2 as our final answer. Okay, that was pretty easy. Number 5. Now, number 5, before we do it mathematically, can you work this out mentally? What is the question saying? 3 divided by 0.5 or 3 divided by a half. So if I have 3, just say pizzas, whole pizzas, and I divide each one into halves, how many pizzas will I have? That's another way of looking at it, because sometimes dividing with decimals is actually quite easy. To show it mathematically, I'm going to write it in fraction form, 3 over 0.5, okay? And the reason why I do this is I can see which number falls down and goes under the bridge. So I don't want anyone forgetting which number falls down and goes under the bridge. And so get our bridge ready, and I've got 3 and then 0.5 on the outside, and get some zeros ready. Now with question 5, I actually, it was supposed to be 0.5 divided by 3. If you know how to do the other way, that's fine, but I wrote the question wrong. So 0.5 divided by 3, I'm going to write it as a fraction, so 0.5 divided by 3, just so I can see which one falls down and goes under the bridge. So I'll get my bridge ready, and then 0.5, and then 3 out there. And now I'll get my decimal ready on top, and I will add some zeros. I'll change my colour to show what my working out is. And now let's try this. 3 into 0, it can't go, just 0. Nothing to carry on. 3 into 5. 3 into 5 can go once, remainder 2. 3 into 20, well, 3 times 6 is 18, so it can go 6 times, remainder 2. 3 into 20, once again, 6 times, remainder 2, and I have found a pattern, okay? I know there always has to be a pattern whenever we divide fractions or have fractions or divide numbers together. So my final answer will be 0.16 with a dot on top, saying that my 6 is repeating itself forever and ever and ever. Okay, let's do 6 and 7. So number 6, please make sure whenever you divide or multiply by numbers like this, where you got 1 and zeros, that you do the shortcut. And that is, all you have to do is move the decimal. Don't spend hours trying to work it out with working out. There's no need. So I'll change my color to a more brighter color. All right, so I've got 3 zeros. That's how many places my decimal will be moving. That's your first step. Now I'm going to write some some zeros before the 23. So I'll have this. Sorry, it's lagging a little bit. And the reason why I do that is it helps me fill in the spaces. You don't have to do this, but I figured that I can't make a mistake when I do it this way. And so I'm going to move my decimal to the left, so sort of backwards 3 times because we are dividing. So let's move our decimal. So move it back 3 times, 1, 2, 3. And it's gone from there. So our new number is this, 0.023001. And that's how easy it is. Number 7, what is the highest common factor of 4 and 8? So your first step is write down the factors of 4 and the factors of 8, and then compare them and see which one's the largest one. So when writing factors of a number, you always start with 1 and the number itself on the other end. So in this case, 4, 1 starts with 1 and 4 on the other end. And what can fit in between? Now, can 2 divide into 4? Yes. Can 3 divide into 4? No. And we've passed halfway, so that's all our factors. 4 has only 3 factors. Now 8, once again, write your number down, number 1 first, and then 8 on the other end. And now what factors divide into 8? So can 2 divide into 8? Yes. Can 3 divide into 8? No. Can 4? Yes. Can 5? No. And we've passed halfway, so we can stop. And now let's compare what factors are common to both. Well, they both have 1, they both have 2, and they both have 4. And out of these 3 common factors, what's the highest one? We can see 4 is the largest number. So the highest common factor of 4 and 8 is simply 4. And that's how easy it is. Number 9, what is the lowest common multiple of 5 and 6? So this time, we're not looking at factors of a number, but multiples. And we know multiples refers to answers or products when we multiply numbers. And always think of snail trail if you get stuck, okay? Now, we do the same thing, write each number separately, and we're going to write down some multiples of each number. Then we will stop once we can see the same number appear. So with 5, I'll start off with a few. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35. I'll stop there. Now, hopefully one of these numbers is a multiple of 6. So let's try 6. So 6, 12, 18. So far, are there any numbers that are common? No, so we have to keep on going. So we've got 24 and then 30. And I'll stop there because I can see a common multiple, and that is 30. Okay, so the lowest common multiple of 5 and 6 is 30. And remember, this is the same thing as saying the lowest common denominator. When working with fractions, if we have to make the same denominator, we're finding the lowest common multiple. Same thing. And number 10 asked us, okay, is the following number rational or irrational? Oh, sorry, I think it said, is it irrational? Now, we know an irrational number, what is an irrational number? It has to have no pattern and it goes on forever, or it's infinite. So we'll try and use keywords. So no recurring pattern, and it's an infinite number. And if we have a look at this, is there a pattern that you can see? I can see a pattern, and that is 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. So this answer should be written like this, 4.456 with a line on top, indicating that it's a pattern. So no, this is not irrational. So not irrational. We would say this number is rational because there's a pattern. Now let's try some questions from your test. Now I want to do question 10A and 10B because I remember in class a few of you had different answers and mistakes have been made. So we'll do these ones first. Okay, so with 10A, we can clearly see there are quite a few different operations in this question. So with BODMAS, we've got to work out which ones do we do first. And we know multiplication and division come before addition and subtraction. They are equal operations, which means neither comes first or second, but they come before addition and subtraction. So I'm going to put brackets around 3 times 4 and around 63 divided by 9. I must do those two first. So make sure you put brackets around there to make it clear for yourself. You don't have to circle any positives or negatives, just circle the number themselves. So 3 times 4 is 12, and 63 divided by 9 is 7. Okay, so I'm going to write what I have left. I've got 9 plus 12 minus 7 plus 7. Easy. And now be very careful. Make sure you work from left to right. Okay, because in class, someone went minus 7 plus 7 is 0 first, and that was wrong. Now, what is 9 plus 12? So we've got 9 plus 12. Well, 9 plus 10 is 19, 20, 21. So we've got 21. So that was next. Take away 7 plus 7. And then 21 take away 7 is 14. And 14 plus 7 is back to 21. So your answer should have been 21 for this one. Okay, with our next one, we can see there are large brackets and smaller brackets, so we have to work from inside out. So I'll do what's inside these brackets first, okay? So in here I've got 5 minus 2 times 3, and I know in the brackets 2 times 3 comes first, and 2 times 3 gives me 6, okay? I'm going to write out what I have because it's all squishy on top. So I've got the square root of 4 times 3. What I'm going to do now is quickly, well, I can see two negatives sitting together and they become positive, so I'll just put positive there. I've still got my big brackets, and in my small brackets, I've got 5 take away 2. Oh, sorry, 5 take away 6. It's a bit messy. All right, that's better. And then plus 3 out there, and then we close our brackets. All right, so now in these brackets, I've got 5 take away 6, which comes next. Now be careful with your negatives and positives. 5 take away 6 is minus 1, okay? So that's what we've got left. We've got square root of 4 times 3 plus, I still have my big brackets. My small brackets are now gone, but in my big brackets, I've got minus 1 plus 3. So we still got to do our brackets first. And what is minus 1 plus 3? One's a negative, one's a positive. So 3 take away 1 normally is just 2. And it's positive 2 because 3 is larger and 3 is positive. And now my brackets are taken care of. I'm also going to, now that my brackets are done, I have a power here, the square root of 4. And a number times itself twice to give me 4. I know this whole thing is 2. So I now have 2 times 3, bring the plus down, plus brackets are gone, and I have 2. And now I have to do multiplication first. So 2 times 3 is 6, and then bring the plus 2 down, and 6 plus 2 is 8. So for this one, you should have had 8. The last couple of questions I want to do is number 14, the worded problems, because we did do ones like this in class, but you may have forgotten. And before we do this, I just realized that I forgot to do a question from the beginning. And the question was, write down the first 5 numbers of the following. So I'll just write it down. So we learned this recently in class, and if you're still confused about what this x is just a number. I haven't told you what x is, but I'm giving you a clue. And we know how to read these signs, okay? If you've forgotten, remember, this is a less than because we hit the smaller gap first, or with your finger, it makes the L shape. This is the greater than because we hit the greater gap first, okay? But make sure you find a way on how to remember which one's which. Now, this one here is less than but also equal to. So when we see the line on the bottom, it's making 2 equal signs, or it's making 2 lines that are equal sign, just like that. And that's saying your number can be 6. Okay, so my number x can be 6 and anything less than 6. So I'll write the next 4 numbers. So 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. So if that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The question asked me for the 5 numbers that x can be. And this is it. And of course, this can go on forever and ever and ever, but it asks for 5. All right, so with question 14a, it says the lowest point on the African continent is minus 156 meters. So that's obviously below sea level. And the highest point is 5,895 meters. What is the height difference? So that's a key word you should know. Difference means you are subtracting to find the gap in between 2 numbers. So let's just start this question. Now, if this helps, you can draw diagrams to help you. I'm sorry, I'm not much of an artist, but basically all I have is the highest point and the lowest point, and then that's supposed to be water, okay? And the water is basically where 0 is, okay? So it's sort of like a number line. Now, difference is what is the space between the largest number and the smallest number? And to do that, we have to subtract. Or the shortcut is you just simply add these two. Add this bit plus that bit, and it will give you the total difference. But to make sure we know how to do it mathematically, let's write down, when we subtract, we always start with the largest number first. So 5,895. Difference means take away. So take away. And here I've got a minus 156. So minus 156. And we can see how 2 negatives make a positive. Okay? And we're left with 5,895 plus 156. This chunk plus that chunk gives me the whole difference, the whole length that separates the top and the bottom. So work out what that is. And you should have got 6,051 meters. We are dealing with length, so 6,051 meters is the difference between these 2 spaces. And the trick is, in this case, because one was a negative and one was a positive, we just added them. So please make sure you finish your test questions and go back and watch any other lessons that may help you. There are revision sessions as well in the revision folder.